So because I don't have a lot of time, I wanted to do like the quickest biology lesson to kind of explain to you some of the things I'm going to talk about. So IVF, or in vitro fertilization, is a process where they take a lot of hormones and inject you a ton, and you produce a ton of eggs, and then they surgically remove the eggs from your ovaries, combine them with sperm, and they make an embryo. The embryo would then be frozen, cryogenically frozen for later use, or transferred immediately into a womb, which hopefully, if everything works out like it's supposed to, would result in pregnancy and then a baby. So I always wanted to be a mom from the time that I was little. I never had any other aspirations besides wanting to be a mom. And so the fact that we tried to get pregnant for 6 years and it didn't work was really hard on us. It took a toll on our marriage, and it was hard on my faith. And so we sought treatment. And I remember saying in the very beginning of the whole process that I would never do IVF. It looked like a science experiment. It wasn't for me, and I wasn't going to be that person. And we ended up being diagnosed with dual infertility diagnoses, male and female infertility, his and hers infertility, and which basically meant that the chances of us getting pregnant naturally were devastatingly low, and we were heartbroken. Our deepest desire was to be parents. We did all the things right. We bought the house, we had the cars, we had our finances in order, we had the jobs. We did all the things that you're supposed to do before you have kids. Like, we did it in the right order. We did the right things, and we just thought that it would all fall into place, and it didn't. And it really shook our faith, because even on Facebook with the pregnancy announcements, or going to Walmart and seeing people with their babies, would become a struggle for us, and was a constant reminder of the emptiness we felt inside. And I would constantly remind myself, like, Nicole, God did not give you this burning desire to not fulfill it. Like, keep your faith. God did not give you this desire to just leave it unfulfilled. And so the doctor told us that the best chance of us getting pregnant was going to be through IVF. And so we began the process of IVF, and we did a round of IVF, which was extremely hard emotionally and financially. And, throughout the whole process, God clearly was paving the way for us, whether it was with insurance coverage for the IVF, which is not a common thing, or just putting the right doctors with us and the right nurses, or the right people to encourage us. God was with us. And I felt, though, in the struggle, when I was going through things, I felt that he had abandoned me. I remember crying out often and sobbing, why can't I be a mom? It's all I want. It's all I want. And so I'm supposed to. I'm a woman. I want to give my husband a baby, and I can't. So we went through the IVF process, and it's very expensive. And we had a chemical pregnancy, which is a very early miscarriage. And you don't think about what happens if it doesn't work, because this kind of stuff is expensive. So you just think it's going to work, and it didn't work. And we were heartbroken. And we immediately said, let's do it again. We want to do it again. And so we did a second round of IVF, and this time I got really sick, and it was very hard on me, and I couldn't go to work, and there was just so much. It was hard. And we ended up with 14 embryos. And so that meant we wouldn't have to go through the full process again, which was a huge blessing. And we transferred 2 embryos into my womb, and it was another negative pregnancy test. Another negative pregnancy test, and the hundreds of pregnancy tests that I've taken in my life. And so we almost gave up. Every time that we did this, it would just take like pieces of our hearts and our faith, and our faith was hanging by threads at this point. We did not understand. This seemed like some kind of like punishment, you know. We felt like, we felt like there was this thing that's so easily obtainable to so many people, and then yet we were fighting for this, and it was painful for us, and so I wish I could say that I walked IVF with grace and full of faith, but the truth is it was really messy, and I was not full of faith. I was hanging by a thread. I was struggling very, very badly, and but he was always there. Now looking back, I see his hand every step of the way with me. And so we did IVF one more time. We did the transfer of the embryos, and we transferred 2 embryos. And for the first time in my life, I saw a positive pregnancy test. And we were blessed with twins. I like to call them my buy one, get one free. And they were born in 2000. They were born healthy. And, there was something that was always kind of weighing on us. We knew our family was complete. Twins are a lot of work, and we knew that was it for us, and we were happy with our little family. And there was always something hanging over us, and that was what we do with these leftover embryos. We have 10, and each of these embryos could be a life. And so for us, there are options that they give you. They give you 4 options. They give you can destroy them, literally discard them like they're trash. You can donate them to science for research purposes. You can indefinitely store them and pay $500 to $800 a year for storage fees. And what we felt like we were being called to do was to donate them to another couple who couldn't have children on their own. It was a really hard thing for me to grasp. These embryos represented hope and love, and we loved them as for the possibilities that they could be, even though we knew that there's no way we could have 10 babies, and we were done having kids, and we weren't going to go through the IVF again because it was so hard on me. It was just, we were attached to these embryos. And how do you give your genetic children to somebody to raise? To me, it took years for my mind to be ready, and it took years for God to chip away at my heart to mold me to a place where I was ready to take on the responsibility that He had given us. We began the process to find a couple to adopt the embryos, and it was hard. We had, lists of criteria, and how do you choose? How do you choose somebody to have your genetic kids? It's a very strange process, but we ended up finding the most perfect couple. They are the most adorable people in the entire world, and they love Christ, and she's a teacher and he's a firefighter, and I mean, it didn't get more perfect than these people. And we ended up really connecting with them, and all of this is done, all of these conversations are done online, and none of this was in person. They're in Washington, so they're halfway across the country, and just the concept of me discussing my genetic children with a stranger on the internet is just absolutely mind-blowing. But every step of the way, God would just give us confirmation, and we felt so led to these people, and there were so many specific confirmations, and so much. My husband has wonderful discernment, and his discernment kicked in, and we just knew, like, 100% unwavering, this is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to give our embryos to literally these strangers that we've never met. So we did a video chat with them, and it was a sweet, awkward exchange, but we really connected with them, and we just knew God just gave us that peace, that this is where they were supposed to be. And the thing for us is that we did not think, because we were so connected to these embryos, we loved these embryos, and for the possibilities of what they could be, that we didn't think that we would be able to want to see pictures or have a relationship with these people. We thought that would be too hard, and God just kept working on us, and through the whole process he just chipped away at us until we decided on an open adoption. And you know, the working and the softening of my husband's heart to all of this was just, it was just so beautiful to watch this develop. And we went through the very hard process of signing over our rights to the embryos and any resulting children. And it was hard. That was probably harder than the IVF. You know, as a mom, the thought of somebody else being the boo-boo kisser, or the one that gets to tuck them in at night, or the one that they run to when they need something, you don't get to be that person. And knowing that, you know, these kids may have questions one day, you know, we were scared. And I didn't know how I was gonna get through it. And God showed up for me so many times. So many times I was anxious or hurting or scared, and he was always there. And I would be filled with peace, and I would be filled with joy, and like, there were times where I was so joyful that I was like bursting, like I wanted to tell strangers about the coolest thing that was going on. Like, you would not believe what God is doing. Like, God made me go through this so that these people could be parents. Like, this is crazy. Like, me, like, I'm not, you know, I'm not, you know, the most faithful person. I don't, you know, I wish I could say that I'm in the Word every day, and that my faith is strong all the time, and it's not. And I, you know, I try my best, but you know, I'm a work in progress. And me, God used me. And it was just so, it became like such this cool thing to experience. And the cooler part about it is that through this process, the mother, the hopeful mother, recipient mother, and me, we became friends. And so that was very fulfilling to me, because I got to be excited for her. I got to be excited for her journey, because she had struggled just like I struggled. And to see this coming all full circle to this point where now she gets to be a mom was just beautiful. We signed over the embryos, and she got pregnant really quickly, and we were so excited for them. And you know, there were times it was really hard. I don't know what it's like to place a live birth, you know, a child you give birth for adoption. I don't know what that feels like, but I do know that there were so many deep feelings that I felt that I believe are very similar feelings that the birth mother feels when she places her child for adoption. And it hurt. There were pains that I had to go through, but I never in this process felt alone, and I never in this process felt abandoned, because I knew that I was being obedient, and that it was okay to feel sad, or it was okay to feel pain, or to grieve the loss of what, in my mind, you know, were our children. And that was okay. And it was okay to be happy and sad at the same time. And then that was a big struggle for me, was to grieve in my place that I was going through as the donor mom, as the, you know, the birth mother, and to be happy for my new friend who I was building a relationship with. and to see her growing belly and to see the sonogram pictures and to see all that, it was beautiful. And when she went into labor, I was terrified. In my mind, it was the biggest experience that I'll ever have to go through. And I thought that, what's gonna happen when I look at this baby? What am I gonna feel? Like, I was so scared, and I prayed so much because I didn't want to feel like this was something that was a part of me. I didn't want to feel regretful or like, I didn't want to feel sad. I wanted to be joyful for her because she deserved this. She's such a good person. And this was her moment. And I didn't want it to be about me. I didn't want to feel anything besides just pure joy for her. And the entire labor, which lasted 2 really long days, I spent it in bed, just Netflixing, and just freaked out. And then he was born, and I woke up to a picture, and I looked at this little picture, and I just remember being like, this looks like their baby. This doesn't look like us. Like, how did that happen? Like, how is this my genetic child? Like, it fits in their family. This baby was never meant to be mine. Like, you know, it just all clicked, and God just gave me this, like, happy, joyful feeling of just that, you know, my friend just had a baby, and how beautiful was this miracle? Like, how beautiful was the circumstances that surrounded it? And I think in life, we don't often get to see the full circle of our pain as vividly and as clearly as I've gotten to see why I had to go through my pain of infertility. And it wasn't for me necessarily. I benefited because I got to be a mom, but really it was so that we could show this amazing testimony of Jesus and the powerful and how amazing his plans can really be if we fully surrender. And now watching everything happen, I'm so thankful and I'm so grateful that I had to struggle with infertility, and I would inject myself 1,000 times again, and I would go through it 1,000 times again to have the outcome that I have today, and to be able to see the most beautiful thing. I got I'll end with I got their newborn pictures. She sent me their newborn pictures, and one of the pictures was her and her husband, and they were holding the baby, and I lost it. I was like, this is the reason. Like, that was the reason. And I was like, okay, God, I get it all. It all makes sense.